started, so.
We good? Okay, so let's call this July 14th, 2025 Parks meeting to order. Can I get roll call, please?
Brandon Williams.
I'm here.
Catherine Witzman.
Here.
Megan Brewer.
Here.
Pat Capriol.
Here.
Brian Burney.
Here.
So first thing we have tonight is the approval of minutes from 2 months ago, the May minutes. Any changes? Everything look okay?
Yeah, I thought it looked okay when I looked through it.
I was gonna say, it looked great, but I wasn't here, so.
Fair enough. I'll take a motion to approve.
I will motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th meeting.
I second.
Got a motion and a second. Everybody that approves?
Aye.
Motion carries. Event summaries, who's got it?
All right. Well, I'll go over a couple here, and then I'm going to let Nikki talk about a couple of them too. We had a successful robotics camp, actually 2 of them. I think there were 7 and 7 that we had on that. It was held over here in the community room. Half-day camp went pretty well. Super easy. The place that ran it for us. You really did everything on it. We had Emily go and check people in a little bit and kind of be there in the beginning in case they needed any help. So, the Live at the McCordsville movie has actually been postponed because of rain twice. So its new date is August 2nd. We rescheduled that, and that'll still be the same movie but it'll be on August 2nd. And the multi-sport camp was canceled, not by us, by our vendor the day of, and was a big issue.
I'm sure it was.
We have spoken to them, cleared it up. They have a couple other camps they're doing with us. Their director actually of the camp, the golf camp, is supposed to call me on Wednesday, so we're going to make sure that there's no hiccups kind of going further. But
So did they give reasoning why they canceled it? Is it not, they couldn't staff it, or?
they sent their person to the wrong location that first day and then decided to just cancel the entire week. And made no sense to me. I was as fuming and hot as I ever get.
Just with your working parents who made
Yeah,
arrangements, you know?
So it's one of those. I mean, had they worked with us, had they talked to me, and before they canceled it, I mean, honestly, I could have run the camp.
Yeah, for the first 4 hours until they get there at one time to take over.
But they made the decision before talking to us. So I've discussed it with them. It'll be something certainly that we evaluate after this year if it's something we want to move forward with them or not. So. And then I'll let Nikki talk about walking club and cars and coffee.
So our first ever walking club was held between May and June over at McCordsville Walking Path. It was a great success. A lot of seniors and young moms with lots of little kids. They were over there first thing in the morning with me. I originally had about 58 sign up. I'd say on average I had maybe 20-something people there, but it was a free program and people just dropped out. However, the people that did go really liked it a lot. And then there was a lot of feedback online from people saying that they would like to have one in the evening. So we have created one for the evening. It just started last week and Emily is heading that one up. It's the same place, just a different time.
What time?
I believe that one's from 7:30 to 8:15, right? Yep. Nice. And then
I'll just say, like, people really like the walking club,
Yeah.
and my wife's from the Fishers Running Club, and they have people that come do it as well. So
yeah, the evening one has, I believe, 83 people signed up for it. So it's a thing.
So, like, do people bring, like, Bluetooth speakers and play music while they're walking?
I haven't heard music,
Just
but
curious.
a lot of people do wear their
Technically against park
earbuds
rules.
and
What's
walk.
that?
Amplified sound is against park rules.
So they can sing, they just can't play a speaker.
Just not loudly. They bring their earbud things and walk to their own pace, or they have a group and they'll just walk and talk the whole time together. And we've had a few people meet other people in the community, and they became walking buddies. And I think some of them even went over to mornings afterwards, kind of as a breakfast ritual after walking club.
So is that bigger than the 5K?
Is it bigger?
Yeah.
Um,
No,
No.
last year 5K had 180 registrants.
Yeah, we had a lot of people sign up very last minute for the 5K last year.
Where is the walking club? I can't remember.
Over at McCord Square, over at the walking path where the bridge is,
Mhm.
there's that path right there.
Okay.
But the 5K is only one time, because the walking club's a series, so over the course of it, it's probably
So
done well.
cumulative, it might be bigger.
So the evening is also twice a week?
Mhm.
Okay.
Tuesdays and Thursdays. There you go.
Yeah, you got
Cars and coffee. All right, Cars and Coffee. We've had two, May and June so far. They have been by far our largest Cars and Coffee
Yeah.
attended events, even compared to last year. Everybody seems to really like the area over there versus over here. A lot of the cars were bottoming out over here, and the weather's bad. I couldn't do it. But McCord Square is filling up. The whole Main Street on both sides is full. It is spilling over to that street behind it. What's the name of that street behind it, Tim?
Promenade.
That one.
By the big
um,
grassy field.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are telling me you're running out of room, but we're really not, because there's still parking spaces left. But as it continues to grow, we might. However, with 9 Star going in there, we're going to have parking over there, and as it continues to build out, more parking will be added. So I think that we had over 300 cars in attendance this last one.
And we
That's
built,
awesome.
when we connect Civic Drive to Promenade, you can actually, we built in 50 spots in the front of the police station for events as well, so you'll be able to walk from the police station over to it as well. So
And
as we keep making these connections, we'll add more and more parking.
Right. And then another exciting thing about that is, we used to buy donuts from Tim's, and we'd pay Coffee at the Crossing for the coffee, and we would just hand it out for free for everybody. I talked to Stanley Chevrolet. They are sponsoring the rest of the Cars and Coffees for the remainder of the year, so they are taking care of all the expenses for us. And there's some other vendors coming out that are making a presence to be known. I believe Enterprise Rent-A-Car has a exotic division, so they kind of want to bring out their exotic cars, and they keep asking me if there's anything that I want them to pay for, or sponsor, or whatever.
Yes.
They,
Sure.
they,
The Christmas
yeah.
The answer is yes.
they want to be a part of it. I think more in the car portion of it. And then I have a couple of car clubs that come out all the time. They're starting to pop their own little tents up for each car club. So it's becoming a very well-known, widely known thing to do. So
Nice.
yeah, it's definitely one
You
of
know,
my
if they
favorites.
do a drawing for an exotic car free rental for a Saturday night or something?
No, but I believe they're giving out discount cards for rentals.
I mean, if they offer one of those and there could be a drawing at the end of the season or something?
I'm not sure they're going to give away a Ferrari.
Well, it's just be a rental for a night.
I think Dr. Bird is saying like a one-time,
Oh,
like
like a
a
one-time.
rental credit.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't
gift
know.
certificate for an exotic rental. A one night
I
or
could-
24-hour
Like
exotic
if you
rental
want to do
credit.
dinner and a movie and
Yeah.
get their exotic, whatever,
Yeah.
Cadillac
It wouldn't hurt
Escalade.
to ask.
go to a Fever game.
That's all I got.
All right.
I don't know where you are.
So upcoming events and programming.
All right, so we have our what will now be our first movie. It's supposed to be our second movie coming up this Friday. It's Remember the Titans. It's 8 o'clock at McCord Square. Hopefully, weather cooperates this time. Then we have Cars and Coffee
It doesn't look good.
this
It
coming
is not looking
Sunday.
good.
Saying AM showers, we're good. Then we have a new program that has 2 registrants. I just looked before we came for an art camp. We spoke with the AR workshop here in McCordsville to offer something else. We'll see if we can get a couple more registrants for that, but I mean, it helps them out, helps us out. Same thing, we get a
Is that
percentage.
same thing over here in the community center?
It'll actually be at their location at
Okay.
the AR workshop over by the post office.
Okay.
And we also have our pickleball and tennis camp coming up at the end of July. And I just realized, I don't know if it cut off or if it's on there. We have golf camp, just cut off on my sheet. We have golf camp coming up this next Monday. That'll be held out here in the field at Town Hall Park. Then we have a market coming up in August. Again, we haven't had one of those. I think we skipped July, correct?
We did.
And then Pat's Fitness 5K, I checked before I came in here. We have 41 registered for that now. We had 43 at this time last year. So we're right on par with what we were last year. Another Cars and Coffee. We have our concert, which I put the wrong day. I put 7:23. It's 8:23, not 7:23. Will be at McCord Square. That is 7 to 9 at McCord Square. And the name of the band is Taste Like Chicken. They are fantastic. And then in September, we have Party in the Park, which is scheduled for the 6th. In addition to, and I think I told you guys, on that 2nd, we also have our second movie rescheduled on that August 2nd. So
I just can't say enough about the increased programming this year. It's the council invested in seasonal part-time help, and with Stan and Nikki full force now, I mean, it's night and day difference year over year of what's being offered to the community. I think it's great.
the part-time help's been a big
And-
help. So
So have they
Fantastic
done well this year?
feedback.
it has, and we've talked. Tim and I have talked. The summer, we're going to change the description of it a little
Yeah,
bit to seasonal instead of part-time. So
We had never dabbled in the part-time a lot, and we found out that there is a difference between seasonal and part-time, so we're,
So part-time, you think you're working 20 hours a week consistently, where
Well,
seasonal, you're working full-time?
seasonal, you have to define a period when they're actually working, where part-time could work full year. So just a little bit of different classification,
So it's a
so
language thing more than
It-
anything.
it's not that huge a deal, but it is in the salary ordinance, so we're gonna clean that up for next year's salary. We'll have the same amount of people, just different classifications.
yeah, but a lot of stuff coming up. So a busy time for us. So
I mean, it seems like it's all been very well received. Old business, youth sports parks, feasibility study update.
okay, it's Well, I have it up here if you want to open it. It's in T Drive. T Drive, youth parks, youth sports. All that. Okay, so youth sports, I haven't looked at it real close yet, so you guys will see it here, and then I want to make sure that all the changes are right before I send it out to you. We did receive the pro forma from pros. There's two documents. One's a Word document, one's an Excel. You can open the Word first, then the Excel has, and it kind of breaks down. It'll break down a lot of the what our costs would be, what we may be able to make on it, what our differential will be, what our basically all the numbers that we've kind of asked for to get. I've been going back and forth with them because they had some changes that they didn't make. They had us having 8 fields, and we had discussed that we wanted 4 with the two multi-use fields. So they had to make all those changes. So I haven't looked at it real close since then.
I haven't seen
The Excel document breaks it down even farther, and it breaks down like what your so yeah, still hadn't updated that. So that's why I haven't sent it out yet. I want to make sure all the changes are right before I send it out to you guys. But it just kind of breaks down all the operational cost, what we may be able to charge rental wise, how that kind of impacts our cost recovery and all that going forward. And that would be the Excel document. Will show more of that. But it kind of goes over what sponsorships can be and all those tabs there on the bottom. Change this one, but I'll shoot that out to you guys once I have that kind of finalized. It's pretty well broken down. I mean, pros did a pretty decent job with that as far as kind of breaking all that stuff down. And then we're still waiting on the final drawing actually from Context will get us the final drawing as far as for that space that we designated, as far as like what we were looking at and wanting.
So one question about that. So like if we do something like that, do we have to have a special insurance for that property for sports insurance, like all the types of things that can happen on a sports field?
Special
And that's going
insurance
to be
on our-
additional
Yeah,
cost to our town, right?
Yeah, any property we add, any facility we add gets added into our property insurance. Yep, and we update that multiple times per year. So, even things like stoplights and poles and things like that, because believe me, they've been getting hit lately.
Yeah.
And we always have to look if it's on our sheet or not. So yeah, every asset of the town gets put into the insurance claim. So that has been a rising cost for the town as we've grown.
Okay.
But on the plus side, we're nearing an end of the sports park feasibility study. It's almost complete. So, like I said, once I have all those changes, have them make all those changes, I'll shoot that out to everyone so you can look at it more in depth.
Okay.
So,
Looking forward to seeing that one. Old School Park.
all right. So, Old School Park, if you guys haven't seen, is nearing an end. If we think it's we're going through
Fish.
punch list items now. Those will be getting sent out to Smith here soon. I don't know if they've sent those out yet or not.
No, we're getting all the different parties to do punch list items. So we're trying to get one full punch list over to them so they can start knocking those out.
But the parking lot's in, the basketball courts are in, the basketball goals are in, all the playground stuff's in. There are some things kind of going with that playground stuff that'll have to be addressed. Bathrooms are done, same thing, some punch items on that.
Quite a few
But
on the
it's-
bathrooms.
But it's if you haven't been by there, nobody's gonna say anything. If you go over there, if you want to go over there and take a look and walk around, we do still. I plan on hosting our pickleball and tennis camp there, regardless that we have to park and just kind of block stuff off, whether we're open or not. We'll still do that over there.
So we have.
Will we
we're-
do like a reopening ceremony for the
Yeah,
park?
we'll hold a ribbon cutting for
Okay.
the new area, and we'll invite everybody. We just keep not knowing the dates. But yeah, we're getting close. There's we have a issue with the big curly slide on the playground, the bathroom, some of the workmanship on some of the fascia and stuff needs redone. So they're just working on that, and then we're making sure there's no issues on the parking. It's all looking really nice. A lot of the punch is on landscaping, to be honest. So,
Okay.
and then we had some other stuff that we got to figure out to make sure. You talked about liability insurance, the gap between the basketball hoop and the tennis court, because eventually the tennis court will go away. Well, there's a big crevice there, so we got to figure out what we're going to do there.
Yep.
We don't know what the plan is, so we don't want someone falling in there and breaking a leg. So we just want to make sure those things are tied up prior to having an official opening. But we're getting there, and it's going to be really nice when it's open.
I mean, it does look really nice now. The surfacing it's really super nice. Turned out fantastic. The couple things on the playground, other than the slide, are just like raising swings up a little bit. They're a little too low. Simple things. So, I mean, I don't think there weren't a whole lot of major things.
What do you
And there's
think,
just
like
going to be
30
something.
days or 2 weeks or depends on how fast.
Depends
the
how
vendors
fast
get
we can
back.
get them out there to correct. There's quite a bit on they ended up using the wrong landscape sheet. We had an updated sheet, and they used the original. So again, that's just getting the landscape company out there to fix that. And there's also, we won't hold up the opening, but then we have 3 or 4 things we need to do. There's we didn't run electrical to the shelter. We probably should have, so we're going to hire an electrician outside to do that. We got to do the Old School Park sign. We pulled that out of the project, and we're going to do that separately. And then we're doing all the camera and locks and everything, all the IT, if you will. So there's some other small things we'll do, but we won't hold up the opening of the park for that because it's pretty ready to go. And then the other thing we're going to do, I wanted to make the Parks Board aware, is we got to somewhat of the new setup. We need to do some tree removal. So some of it was going to come out with the road project in a couple of years, but we're going to expedite a few of them. One of them I wanted to make you aware of is one of the big trees that we light up for Christmas needs to come out. It kind of got chopped anyways because the fence was on the back side, so now there's a big chunk out of it, and then there's some other just weed stuff in there, and then it blocks the electrical panel, and then it also blocks a light that we're going to keep in place until the new streetlights get in, so that one needs replaced. So Stan and I are working on a process to we'll keep the other one and make that the center point tree, and then do something along that fencing to really kind of still light that up, because people really like that, but that tree's probably not gonna make it. And then there's a tree in front of it, like a mulberry tree, that needs to get out of there as well. And then we have a couple just dead limbs that are up top that need to get trimmed up, so we're gonna be getting someone out there to clean those
So
up.
is that something that we have to hire out, or is that something Public Works can do, or? not?
Those are all big jobs.
Big
and
jobs?
They're high, there's somebody with a boom's gonna have to do that,
Right.
because some of the dead limbs are pretty high
30
up
feet,
where.
40 feet up.
Yeah, so,
And we don't want them falling on a new playground, so.
yeah, we have not gotten any
100%.
quotes or anything yet, but we wanted you to be aware prior to us doing that, because I know people really do like, especially those two big trees, but it's gonna be gone, that one was gonna be gone anyways at some point, so
Yeah.
it just seems like doing it at the same time makes most sense.
Are we still on temporary pickleball courts on the tennis court, or
Yep.
pickleball courts are phase 2?
They're phase 2, and we did put money in the budget for next year. Not approved yet. But we did put money in to start the design for phase 2. We don't know when exactly. There's a lot of park programs to do and a lot of park building coming up over the next 5 to 10 years. But there's good momentum here, and it turned out so well, so I want to keep that momentum going. So we did put money in to do the engineering design for phase 2. So we have a concept plan. We want to take that and get it ready, so if we do figure out how to do funding and keep that moving, it'd be nice to finish Old School Park before we jump into some of these other parks that are coming up. It'd be nice to have one full completed
No, I
park.
agree I definitely agree with that.
So, and we have the park bond is paid off in 2027, so we'll probably look at re-upping that to do more park improvements, and that we do not have a lack of projects, so it'll be up to the park board of what our priorities are.
And then what year do we have to redo the impact fee study? Is it 29?
We just did it, so the new
it-
one's in place. I
because
think
it's
year
for
one.
5 years,
It's every
you start
5
in
years you have
4.
to kind of brush it off.
So
and update it.
28 maybe?
Somewhere in there, yeah. So,
It's gonna look a whole lot different next time we do it.
oh yeah, yeah, yep.
Is the community allowed to reserve space now in the old school park? You know,
I don't even want to open it up
Okay.
until we know that it's open,
officially open.
because I just don't want to have to make those phone calls
Yeah.
to cancel somebody if they book it ahead of time, so.
Community center update.
Yeah, but, so we're.
You know more on this. Timeline.
We're ready for it to start. It's mid-July. We're trying to nail them down on a start date, and they're just, the good thing about Charles Brent, they've been really good to work with here on the town hall project. They do so much pre-work so that when the project starts, there's no delays. So they've been doing a lot of that pre-work. They've been doing some value engineering. They did some electrical changes. So we're kind of at a point we really want them just to start.
Yeah, just-
What makes us feel good about the project moving forward. And we're going to come up against, I think the building itself actually isn't going to be that hard. It's not that huge of a building, and nobody's in there to get in their way like they are here. So they should be able to do the building fairly quick. It's the site work I'm worried about, and the later we get, the harder that's going to be. So we have told the tenant at the car dealership in front that they need to be out by August 4th. And we're hoping that here in the next couple of weeks, we have a start date to start demo over there. So it's close. Everything's in line. We have the guaranteed maximum price. We just got the quote on the low voltage IT work, and we think we're going to be able to absorb that one into the value engineering contingency that we saved. So that's good. And then we're also in design for the parking lot with the church as well. So my next steps I have to do is do an additional appropriation, which we knew we'd do once we had all the stuff lined up through the town council. So all the money's sitting there, but there's plenty to get started. We had allocated plenty at the beginning. We just needed to settle up. So we will do that with town council over the next month or two, and hopefully we have a start date in the next couple weeks, and it'll be full force till the end of the year. nothing has been told to us that we're not gonna miss that date. We wanted to be open for the Christmas, all the Christmas festivities, so.
Well, I mean, hopefully if they can, I mean, if they are smart about it and do the outside work when it's dry outside and then
Well-
do the inside work whenever.
Phase one here, they got done a month early. Right, we're actually waiting on the stuff that's not Charles Brandt. We're waiting on the low voltage, which we just got in, and we're waiting on us to get the gas line run and things like that. So over there, they won't have those problems.
So before we move on to new business, is there any other old business anybody wants to talk about? Are we all good?
Nope.
So 30-foot Christmas tree.
All right, so I've talked about this to you guys before. I was waiting on the quote to come back because it has changed from what it was last year. But we have, the quote came back at $39,240. So, I have looked around. It's, every other one I look at, it's the same thing. They're all $40,000 right now. A year ago, they were 30. So, I have gotten commitments from 9-Star and IU Health for a 3-year sponsorship with each of them at $9,000 a piece. In fact, the $9,000 from IU just came in today. Check just started today. It's like they knew that. We have money in our budget to get it, to do it. It's just a matter of if we want to do that, move forward with it.
What's the availability? When's the delivery?
That is a good question. I've told him that we want it this year, so I don't know when that would be arriving.
December 31st.
No, this year for our lights.
So by like November 30th.
Yeah, that'd be like
And-
by basically Thanksgiving.
AKA bathroom and shelter. Who's putting it together? Is it
This,
come-
putting this together?
Yeah,
This would be, we would have them install it.
so
So that was my two
that's
questions.
included in here?
It does,
That
it's,
is
no,
not-
at the bottom, it
that
says
is
does
not
not
included
include
in that
setup and
price.
labor costs. So what does that
is not
cost?
including that price.
Have they given you a
They haven't
ballpark
given me a
figure?
cost as far as how much it is to put this together. I've put these together before. I know it's not a huge issue.
$2,500?
Do you need a bucket truck?
I think
$1,000?
$2,500 is probably good, but we don't have to lift, so.
Right.
That's 30 feet.
So then my second question was storage. They tear it back down, that's
We would have
included in
to store
that?
it.
We have to store it?
We would have to store
Okay.
it. It actually all kind of goes in together. That's the nice thing about this. So the ones I've built before are either 3-foot sections or 4-foot sections. The limbs and stuff take up a ton of space. This one apparently kind of almost nests in itself, is
Okay.
what it said. So the impact of it storage-wise, it says it's 75% less than what normal ones are. So my plan for storage of it, at least for now, if we don't have an indoor space for it, is to put it on pallets and then tarp it up and leave it outside. We can store it back behind where the salt.
Like the salt barn? That's what I was thinking too, like over by the salt barn.
That would be my plan for now until we have more indoor storage space. We don't have a ton of indoor storage.
Even if we got one of those like temporary, like the plastic Rubbermaid sheds to keep it dry.
Yeah, we could look at our budget at the end of the year and see where we're at with it. See if it's something we can add, but, yeah.
So is there also like a maintenance contract with this tree? Like, so I see like all the lights and stuff, so like, is there?
So there's no maintenance
So we
contracts
put it
with
back
Christmas
up and then
trees.
half the lights are burnt out. We gotta pay somebody else to redo the lights.
We would, or we can do them. So the nice thing about these lights is these are plug and play lights, so
Mhm.
you can replace lights real easy. They are LED lights.
Yeah.
Everyone I've dealt with in the past that are LED lights, I mean, they'll last. You'll have
Yeah.
lights go out. I mean, with all Christmas lights, you'll have lights go out.
Are the lights multicolored or are they white?
We did
I
them,
think
we
it's
looked at the
multicolored.
multicolored.
They
So
twinkle? On Blink? No, I just asked.
No, I think they're solid
Some of
light.
those sets have a twinkler bulb.
No, these would be solid lights. These aren't set to music or anything like that.
I mean, I don't want
So-
some
Well, these are
saying,
Sounds like they're
So
paid
like
too
looking
much.
at this, these are the C7, so they're the larger LED ones.
Yeah, so they're
not
C7,
the
so-
little bitty like. what
So
you
they're
put
not
at your
as
house
they're
tree.
not
They're
as
the
large
bigger
as the ones that go on the
Yeah.
building here. The ones that go on the building here are C9s. So the
So a little
C7s
bit
are the ones
smaller.
just below. They are the ones that like I said, you can screw in and out. So if something does go out, they're easy to replace, easy to change. And it's one of those I think we can buy some and have them on hand, for if anything ever goes out. So.
well, I'm serious, because flashing lights
Oh,
can do.
okay, so it
seizures in
includes
some
replacement
kids.
bulbs.
Maintenance-free
But
lighting.
how would you even
Oh, okay.
replace them if the tree is that tall?
So, I'm sorry.
How would you even replace them if the tree is that tall? Would you
Once
have to get
once
somebody in?
once it's up, you won't. You test them before you put them up. Once it's up, you're not reaching the 30-foot ones because you can't
Thank
you can't climb the tree
Right.
with the limbs on. But when you're putting it on, that's whenever you climb the tree and everything else to put stuff up. But and once the limbs are on, you can't. You test them before you put them up. So
So they would take it down and put it up each year.
they would take it down. We'd pay them to take it down and put it up each year. So
Is there a warranty period for this first year, or?
is there a warranty on this tree? I don't know. He sent me this like last minute. I don't know if there's a warranty on the first year. I know it does say maintenance free lighting, all lights are rated there, and it includes replacement bulbs. The tree that I dealt with that was 30 foot, and this was 10 years ago, is still operating and no issues.
Well,
And
what's-
it's all LED bulbs and it's metal framing, and that's the 4-foot cages. The 2-foot to me are going to be much more structurally sound
Mhm.
because it's just more steel.
Yeah.
So
What's the wind rating?
I'm sorry.
What's the wind rating?
That's why we would pay them to install it.
Well, it's really windy here.
So, I'm
We've had-
aware.
We've had wind
McCordsville
damage.
is super windy, so might be the windiest place I think I've ever lived. So, well, I don't live here; I work here, but
The tree's green, right?
tree screen.
I didn't want to be surprised and see a white tree.
No, it's green with multicolored bulbs.
Yeah, as
So
we
we're looking
continue.
at a $39,000 tree, but we already have $18,000 coming in for sponsorship. So how are we going to use? So are they expecting signage around the tree for 9-star?
So with that,
Like,
so
what does that look
they
like?
will get it for the 3 years. They'll each have a banner that goes around by the tree that says sponsored by IU Health, sponsored by 9-star.
Okay.
I chose those two to approach for the sponsorship of the tree because it's right by their buildings.
Yeah.
It just seemed to kind of make sense that they should be the ones offered sponsorship of the tree.
Just what, do they get 3 years?
So you get three.
One,
They get 3 years.
Another, so that's 6 years are already taken
Nope,
up?
they get 3 years
Taken.
together. They're
Okay.
co-sponsors.
Okay.
So they get 3 years together. After those 3 years are over, if we want to go after more sponsorship money for the tree, we can do so.
But after this
And this
contract,
tree,
what paint is
and this
it?
tree should last 10 to 15 years, no issues at all.
Do squirrels and birds move in?
No, I've never had
Yeah.
squirrels or birds. They could, but
I
I've
mean,
never
maybe
had
in the
it.
wintertime,
So,
but then you take them down, they're going to be.
yep, they're going to scatter. We did have
So, like,
rabbits the other
this-
day there.
So this invoice, once we do this, every year, it's just upkeep and set up and tear down.
Set up and tear down, and upkeep if there's ever anything that needs replaced
So,
on it.
and I know you said you got the check from IU Health already for
Yep.
the full 3 years.
They gave me the full 3 years. I
Do we
think
know what
9-star is
9-star's gonna-
9-star's going to do 3,000 each
Three,
year.
three, three. Okay.
Yep. And like I said, after the 3 years, if we want to go after more sponsorship for the tree, we can. We don't have to buy it again. It's just sponsorship of the tree. So
So if we were to do something like that and take in more money than it costs to put it up and tear it down, that just goes back into the parks fund? So say it costs $2,200 and then we get another $5,000 sponsor. And so then we have an overage, so where does that money go? Just
We
back
put
into
all our
general
money,
account?
anytime we get donation money or event money, we put it in what's called the McCordsville Marketing Fund,
Okay.
which is more flexible than all our town funds. So when we have stuff that specifically programming typically, or we have to buy stuff out of the ordinary, we use the marketing fund to offset costs.
So like something crazy pops up for the 5K, you could pull money from that fund for this.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, we put it in one big pool. We have line items under it for the big events, but we don't necessarily always, direct it straight there.
I bet Meyer would be a sponsor too.
Who's that?
Meyer.
I bet they probably would. I think the amount of viewership that this tree is going to get and be seen by, that IU and 9-Star will sign on again after the 3 years is over. So
Worth it.
Probably. I think Meyer likes to donate more than they like to give them money. They give you gift cards to come in our store and buy waters and hot chocolates and Gatorades, and
They
they're not paying for stuff.
they sponsor quite a bit in the town.
And the
so
5Ks for sure.
They sponsor the 5K. They sponsor the community day for the PD.
Mhm.
They do a lot with the PD over the course
But
of the
isn't
year.
it generally like, here's a gift card for our store to come in and buy the
Typically,
things
yeah.
that you need for your event?
We typically get $300 in gift cards from Meyer.
Okay. I mean, I know everybody's gonna want this big tree.
Yeah.
I mean, I want the big tree.
But everything you brought up is really good questions.
they are.
I'm just asking.
I've never managed a large tree before.
Are there bigger trees?
I'm sorry.
Are there bigger trees?
Yeah, it can get bigger.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, we can expand this one if we decide 2 years from now. It can
So it's-
actually,
Well, you could
it
add-
is
So you could add
expandable.
a bottom row.
So you can make it bigger?
So it's
You can.
30 by 17, so you could probably
Now,
take it to
I will say
35
this,
by
the
20,
cost of
or 40
expanding
by 25.
costs more than buying it all kind of up front. Like, I mean, it's not going to cost $40,000,
And if I'm
but I
not-
mean, the price per section is more
So you
expensive.
would just basically buy the lowest row and take what you already have, raise it up, and put the biggest row
Well,
on the bottom and keep growing
If
it.
I'm not mistaken, we're at a point where if you go taller, you're going to have more guy wires to it.
Okay.
And so trip hazards and
further
things
out.
around it to stabilize the height. Right now, I think we're just a single up. I don't think we have to have all those extra wires yet, but
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't-
we're awfully close. Like if we went up anymore, we'd have to stabilize the tree differently. So
So if we get into something like that with guide wires and stuff, do we have to get like the state involved with stuff like that for like structural things? Or are we our own entity and say, oh no, it's fine?
we're never our own entity.
Yes, I know.
But yeah, I mean, the ones I've put up in the past, there's a single one that goes up in the middle. You won't see the wire.
Right.
It goes down. If you have places that you can go to, you can run guide wires too that are higher so that they're not, in walking, so you're not running into and everything on those. So
So trying to stay within the tree itself to just anchor it where you're not
is the
going
best,
outside the
yeah.
tree.
And you
To
can
Dr.
anchor around the
Bernie's-
base, and you can anchor it through the center, and it's a cable. It kind of goes up from the center all the way down to the very bottom.
To Dr. Bernie's point, with the wind in this area, there might be additional wires we want to consider for it.
Well, it's not just the wind, it's also subject to a snow load that time of year if you get the right storm. Like, how much snow can it take before it, like, bends or...
Yeah, like I said, I think the fact that it's the 2 foot sections definitely makes it stronger.
Yeah.
Like I said, the last one I put up was 4 foot,
Can we get this?
and we never had issues with that one bending, but it was 4 foot. This one being 2 foot, it's just, I think it's going to be sturdier than what the other one was.
That's
So.
probably more what they encounter, and that's the whim of Mother Nature.
Yep.
Can we
Yeah, I
get
mean, yeah,
heated
but-
limbs?
I'm sorry.
Can we get heated limbs?
The lights actually don't get that hot.
We'll just-
They're
we'll just-
LED, so.
Hey, we'll just get Public Works out there with hair dryers, right? But yes, I agree with you. Like if there's 2 foot sections, you have double the overlap in the 4 foot section because
It-
one
it-
section
it-
goes into the next section.
It
so-
should be a stronger tree.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
So
Okay, great.
I guess I just need a motion to approve the invoice, or to move forward, or to move it to town council. Are we?
I think it's probably going to go to town council. We will.
You tell me what you want.
I'm thinking about it because
Would you like a motion to recommend to
it's
council?
in your budget already.
Yes, if I think of time.
So it's just you guys. This is already budgeted. We're taking it out of already allocated budget, so I need to go to council.
Sure.
So do you want a motion
So
for the
I-
expenditure?
Yes, so just a motion to
To
approve the, what's the
The
name of this place?
purchase,
Christmas Lights Indy? Christmas tree purchase?
I'll make that motion.
Do you want the amount in there? Not to exceed, or
Just approve the invoice.
approve the invoice is fine?
Okay, so let's make a motion for, what is this for? Christmas tree
Indy.
Indy for the purchase of a 30-foot commercial Christmas tree.
Perfect. Got a motion, can I get a second?
I will second it.
Got the motion and a second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We just got ourselves a new Christmas tree.
All right.
Yay.
It's exciting. I'm excited I don't have to go
I am
back to the
too. I
sponsors
really
and
am.
give their money back.
Yeah.
We're
That
gonna
would
be
be good.
upfront at
Well,
this
especially
lighting,
just
okay?
100%.
Our first at
Just
Market
telling
Square,
everybody now, right?
So the next new business, let's talk about a couple possible future parks.
This one's all you.
So
Yep,
these
it's
a little
only-
bit, are these both around the round barn? Like-
Yeah, so I put a little presentation together this afternoon for you guys, because it's just easier.
You got too much free time.
So, opportunity, yeah, right. So when I started looking at, every aspect of the town, and things that popped up to me were unique features of McCordsville, and obviously the first one that popped out to me was the round barn on 6. Obviously everybody likes the other round barn as well. It's just not in McCordsville. So part of what I've always been passionate about here is preserving history, allowing people to experience unique aspects of McCordsville. So as I was looking at different parks, we're obviously going to start our 5-year park master plan. We have a lot of good park concepts kind of teed up that haven't yet been vetted all the way. So one that has always stuck out to me is this. Fishers has an agri park. They're building a second one. It's a little different when I say agri park. Like theirs is full functioning farms that people can get free vegetables for. It's a lot different, but kind of having that agricultural backing. We're farm fields that have turned into a community in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of unique history to that. There's some unique facilities around that I'd like to preserve and have a place to do that. So in a way, I've always had this kind of very mini Conner Prairie type concept in my head. And it makes perfect sense right along our main corridor with that round barn, which is a unique barn. The homestead to the north, which is a separate parcel, it was built right around 1900. It could be a historic homestead. It's not classified as one. And so I've always had this concept that it's close to the schools of this kind of history agri-park, someplace where we could display some of the history within the barn. We could refurbish that, open it up, get rid of some of those trees so you can actually see it. There's a secondary barn on there where we talk about storage, having a place for park maintenance and operations, having a place where we could do a community garden, bringing people together through a community garden, things like that. And then as we're laying out our parks, how do all the parks do two things? One, how do they all interconnect? And then they're all unique in their own way. So we have the sports park. We're working on the pump park and nature trail type thing. I'll touch really briefly on that. Then we have this agri-park, history park, where we can display artifacts and history and programming and have additional space to have programs and even rentals if we do it right. Then you have your traditional old school park, and you have your linear park, which is the Geist Greenway, which will be Haven Ponds. McCord Square is your event park. So how do all these work together? And so anyways, I've kind of always had this concept. I was always kind of waiting to vet it out until the 5-year master plan. However, and in the meantime, we've been collecting park impact fees for opportunities of parkland that comes up. Haven Ponds, we're going to pay because we have a deficiency, and that price is right for that one. That one makes sense. The sports park, we're kind of hoping through a development they donate some of that land. So there's different ways you can acquire parkland. Obviously McCord Square, we partner with the developer and we deeded over that land. So in this particular one, these are ones that I would recommend using park impact fees for. So of all things, the opportunity has come up. So we have the concept, as I kind of said, McCordsville's developed quickly, and while much of the development has occurred on farm fields, there's still plenty of history and the more I talk to people, the more history I learn about McCordsville, which is fascinating to me. So I'd like to see how we document that and how we preserve documents from some of these old farm families and even some of the machinery and different things we can do there. Preserve the homestead. I think that homestead has some unique opportunities, even possibly as a park headquarters someday.
Oh,
I think you could do some really neat things there. I've not been in it, so you put a little
Is it
pin
empty?
in that. So what happened on that property a little ahead of me is that gentleman passed away, and it's being taken through the estate right now.
Okay.
So we met with the siblings, and they really like the idea of naming the homestead after the family and preserving it for future generations versus it getting knocked down.
Right.
Connectivity through all the parks through paths. So I'll show you a map in a little bit, but through path networks, Haven Ponds is the Geist Greenway coming down. We have a development that's looking at bringing it down to 67. We're talking about how do we do intersection improvements along 67 to get a pedestrian crossing over 67 somehow, up, down, over, through, however we can figure that out. That's our regional trail. That's, our Pensy Trail is north-south Geist Greenway. And so then McCord Square can tie in through our networks that are being built to Old School Park, down Hampton Walk, and then Lane Farms, which is being worked at. South of that, there's multi-path trails that will connect all that. There's another park that we're building into Lane Farms. I'll show you a map in a second. There's another piece of property that has nice woods on it that would be nice for the pump park and everything. It would connect this park to that park through multi-use trail, and then this is just north of where we've identified for our sports park. So again, continuing those trail networks so you could hop on a trail and go to all our parks there. So we're trying to thoughtfully do that kind of stuff as well. Additional meeting space, programming space, additional storage and maintenance space with the secondary barn out there is an opportunity for us, depending on the condition. Again, haven't been on site yet, just drive by. And then obviously things like community garden and different programs that I'm sure they'll come up with down the road. So again, the property I'm talking about here is across from Champion Lake. This is Hampton Walk. Lane Farms will surround this. So we've kind of carved out this chunk of what do you do with it anyways. And it just has a real unique history. It's 2 parcels, and it was originally one. It's a really weird, it's hard to see on here. I don't think I can get it big enough for you. It's a really weird property line. Like they carved it weird. It was all owned by one owner, and then the siblings or somebody split and they carved it out and they needed access. So we have talked to this property, which has the homestead on it and a really nice northern area where you could put a trail around the facility and whatnot. But and they like our vision, told us to go ahead and start appraisals. Because I have a whole process for acquisition. We're working on a community development corp, but with the use of park impact fees, I have to do it through the town system. So working on that anyways. So we're starting to move forward, and I'm like, you know what? We've never really talked to the park board about do they even like this concept. So I really wanted, it was good timing because before I get started, I don't want to delay them. Our process is already long enough. I wanted to make sure the park board understood why I want to pursue this and why I think this is a unique concept, but it's really ultimately, it needs the support of, is this the right park for McCordsville? It's going to be a long-term investment. There's a lot of structures on there that'll need rehabbed and I think right now the round barn is built into like a house. We kind of want it to be how it was originally, is a nice open round barn with pretty structures inside. So anyways, that's the spot. So the historic homestead, this is the one that's in the estate right now, that said, hey, we like your concept, we'd love to keep it preserved. This home, they have done some work on this building from the outside. It looks pretty sharp. It's got a couple secondary structures on it, and this would probably act as our main entrance to the overall park. So this is one that we can start the process on. There's a little bit of chicken and egg here. What I'm a little worried about is we get one and not the other. But honestly, both of them have unique features to it. So I'm not as worried as I originally was, because ultimately, like, the round barn was the vision I had. But the more I look at the homestead property, I mean, it's a valuable piece to the overall park. That said, Stan has of all things, the Lane Farms notice went to these groups, and the owners of the Round Barn showed up at the Plan Commission, or one of the two, and grabbed Ryan and said, hey, we have property in Illinois. We want to focus on that one. We think we're getting ready to sell this property. So Ryan said, please talk to our town manager. And so I actually had Stan, that was right around when I was up north for personal reasons. So Stan reached out to them, had a conversation, and in about 2 weeks we have a meeting with that owner as well. So it's kind of coming together that the opportunity's here. We have the ability to do this if we want to. And actually we need to spend down some of our park impact fees. We're getting a pretty good balance on it. As you can see, this has become something that's not, it's got barbed wire fencing around it and a lot of shrubs. I'd love to open that up and actually see it, because I think it could be a really valuable, cool asset to the community. There's a picture of it. I don't know what all this is. Some of that would probably go away. So
Well, it got damaged in storms a couple years ago, didn't it?
That was King.
that was King. That was the other one.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
one out by our house.
That's the one by your house.
This one, it kind of got converted into a house, so I'm kind of curious what it looks like inside. And then there's secondary structures here. This is a large barn. I don't know the condition of that, but there's opportunities there to have additional maintenance space for DPW and parks. It's a great place to store a large Christmas tree.
That's a really good spot.
And so there's opportunity here if we acquire this. When he's talking about where do we store the Christmas tree, I'm like, maybe right here. And it's just a neat property. And if you go to the aerial view, I mean, I want to get a pretty picture, but you come in here, you create a lot for parking in the middle here. You have a trail around the whole park, and you get a community garden here. You can bring some other structures in. One I've talked about when we did our history in your backyard interviews. This is on the Thomas property, obviously by McCord Square. You can see it just looks like a metal barn, but it actually has got a really neat history to it about drying seed. It's a seed drying barn.
Oh, okay.
And he explains the history in that video. And so I'd love, as this is redeveloping McCord Square, I'd love to move this barn. I've wanted to move it somewhere. We could pick it up and move it down the street and put it on the property somewhere as an additional structure. So there's opportunities like that in the community that I think are really interesting. And I just really like this concept as a park. And of all things, the stars have aligned that both properties might be available at the same time. Now, I have no idea. We haven't gotten into appraisals. We haven't
Right.
gotten into costs. But it seems to be falling into place of a really good opportunity. And I mentioned, the other thing is Hampton Walk's here. This is not approved yet, but Lane Farms is what used to be called Shadow Trace. Arbor was going to do a development that was approved called Shadow Trace. That kind of fell through. The developer of Hampton Walk is essentially doing an expansion of Hampton Walk, calling it Lane Farms. And what we have done here, there's additional property over this way that we would love to see developed as additional parkland down the road. We'll just leave it at that. And what we've done in this development is the 10-foot multi-use path, which will continue up across there when we develop, also has a connection through here on an 8-foot multi-use path that if we ever did gain parkland over here, it's connected through the development. So you could be at an event here and park over here. If we had a bigger event here that doesn't have a lot of parking, we could utilize that park over here, park everybody and walk them over to the event. So we're trying to think ahead of properties that make sense for parks. That'll be in our 5-year master plan. But also how, as we're developing, how are we going to interconnect all those parks? So I think it's very important that you have walkability and ability to have bikes and walking to each park and not have to be on the roadways. So this all kind of lines up really nice. This development, we're incorporating the concept. We don't own any of those properties yet. We hope to. But if we do, they'll all be interconnected through trail systems. So next steps would be, let's talk about it. If the park board likes the concept, I will start appraisals on the homestead property. We have our meeting with the Round Barn owner. I think it's the week I get back from, I'm off next week. I think it's the week after that, last week of July. And then I'd also like to spend a little money to do a high level concept rendering of what this property could be. So it's not just me trying to verbally explain it to you. But this is one that has been on my radar since the day I started, and just thought could be a really cool opportunity. And the way developments kind of come around it, it creates itself into a park. So, and I like the proximity to school as well,
Yeah.
because I could see
It's a
school groups
super-
coming down.
Super good concept. I really like the idea. You and I probably need to talk. About a decade ago, I was looking for places to store my heavy equipment.
Mm-hmm.
This particular property, the owner operated kind of a tourist kiosk out of it and did not pay their Indiana state taxes. It resulted in a tax lien with a foreclosure. It went to auction. It was an online auction. I bid at the online auction. There was very little interest in the property. Various attempts were made to sell it, but all of them fell through. It went to the foreclosure auction. The winning bid was $110,000. I dropped out at $105,000. I've been through it all with a fine-tooth comb, and I always thought that it would be perfect for exactly what you're saying. The asterisk is the condition of the buildings. This will be super expensive.
Yep.
You'll likely along the way have a structural engineer tell you it has to be demolished, that it's an unsafe building. You could get in the position of purchasing it and then having to have it demolished. It might be uninsurable. It's post and frame construction with pegs put through the beams. It's about 7 stories. When I saw it and looked through it, the basement was some 10 feet deep, and it was filled 2/3 with water, and the foundation was super cracked. It had been remodeled into a residence, 2nd floors and above. Above the 4th floor you couldn't go because of the condition of the building. The 1st floor was charming, with porches on the back and so on. The secondary barn at that time was unusable by me, but I think it could be probably rehabbed for something like 4-H type stuff, petting animals.
Are you talking about the red barn?
Yeah, the
That one I've kind of heard.
not the red barn, but
This
that
one? Yeah, this one I've heard the condition is
Ron
questionable.
Kreider looked at that at the time. I said, would the town like to store some of their equipment in there? Because
Yeah.
he was working on snow plows outside at 4 a.m. in the snow, you know. He looked at it and he just no.
Yeah,
So,
it's-
lots of work to be done, super expensive, but I would say in the long term worth it.
Yeah.
None of these structures are historic. I haven't been in the house to the north, but everybody thinks they're historic. So perception is reality.
Yeah.
And I love the concept, but we gotta watch we don't find the old school buried beneath it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I am definitely going into this with the reality that these are expensive rehab projects,
That's
and it's
reality.
going to take
First
us.
step would be to get a structural engineer to look at it and
Yeah.
tell you, can we do this?
That would probably be part of our, as we're doing appraisals, we'll do that same thing. That'll be a requirement of even putting an
That's
offer
up
on
front.
it.
It's gotta be doable,
But
and you can't do it and then have somebody tell you it's gotta be torn
and all
down.
that. I'm not as worried about. I think the house is in pretty good shape. I'm not as worried if that gets preserved. I don't
That's
think there's anything special about that
Potentially a demolition.
barn. But I think this is worth preserving, and I think there's grant money out there for that kind of
It
stuff.
is if you can do it.
If you can do
Gonna
it,
require
and I
some
think it's
structural steel.
a multi-step renovation. To your point, it's probably stabilize the property and then bite off a little bit at a
Yeah,
time.
all the
but-
windows are bad, roof need to be replaced.
I don't think a lot. I'd be
Keep
curious
it
too. I'd want to go to the historic society and see if we can get some original photos, because there's a lot of those windows. Like, to me, it's probably an
United
open barn when it was
Consulting did a
built.
study on this in the original Mount Comfort McCordsville bypass, and they likely have much of that material. They looked into it carefully to see whether it was historic or not. The reason it was not was because of the alterations that had been done to it.
Yeah, see, I could see a lot of this getting torn off. This
Well, that's a
patio
pretty
portion.
classic silo. You're probably going to want to
Not
keep
the
it
silo,
if you can.
more of the housing addition part
Well,
there. So
It's to be determined.
we'd have to
Great
look at
concept
it,
if we
but
can do it.
yeah, there is no. I will not. I absolutely agree. There's a lot of cost into this one, but I also think it could be a gemstone park for the community over time.
Absolutely worth
It's just
it.
going to
Do it.
take a lot of time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I look at it, you said it's 2 parcels, right? So looking on GIS, it's like right around 3.5 acres between both parcels added up.
Yeah, I'd have to.
well,
Probably
yeah.
around 4 acres. I could.
1.61 and 1.86, so.
The south one is almost
3.5.
Yeah,
But
3.5.
also the location, like, it's on Mount Comfort Road. When you get a chance to get, like,
Yeah.
even if we just look at it as the land right now, 3.5 acres of, and it's the right shape too. It's
It's-
long, it's linear, we can do a lot
Everything
with it.
fits so nicely for
Like-
it, other than the structural
So
integrity
like,
of
if
the
we're not
buildings.
even, like, I would love to preserve the structure, but if we go into it with the mindset of we're buying the land and the structures are bonuses.
Like I said, there's other structures we could move there too, and I'm not
Do you-
as
do
worried
you
about
know
the barn.
Do you know if there's water there yet? Or are they still on well?
I'd have to look into it. There's water adjacent. Obviously, we're putting developments around it, so we could tap
I mean,
into
'cause
water
that'd
if we
be-
had to.
If we were able to get the property and not able to save the buildings, that could also be the great place for the one thing everybody wants, a splash pad.
I thought the dog park.
We have one. We have one of those planned in
Okay,
McCord
I'm just
Square.
saying, like, especially if the sports fields were
It's
to
gonna be a
come in,
while.
if the sports fields were to come in, and then it's right there, somewhere to leave, and then go to downtown, come back. So,
Yeah.
Okay, I have
not that
a,
I want to knock it down. I'm not saying that. at
Yeah,
all.
I mean, goal one would be stabilize the buildings and preserve,
Yeah.
and then find grant opportunities and money over time to.
I definitely think there's more
ultimate
grant
renovate.
opportunities if we try to keep the structures versus
Yeah.
just plowing it over.
yes, and I was thinking, if we could preserve the structure, wouldn't that be cool to make it, also an event venue, so like people could have small weddings there, that kind of thing?
We actually rejected that as a use. They wanted to do that.
Oh, really?
Well, I think that's a great idea, because there's not a ton of places
It's been
to
used
host
that way in the
weddings.
It has been used that way. It's not zoned for that, and then you're putting that right by a bunch of residential, so that'd probably be a bad idea. But
Like
Might
a
have some
winery.
complaints, noise.
so the other issue we run into with running something like that is we don't allow alcohol in our parks. And
Oh, well, there's
most
that.
weddings like to have a bar. So.
Yeah.
It's not. I agree. A
Maybe
rental
pictures at
facility.
least can
I think
be
if we
taken
built
there.
it out and took out most of the inside to make it more of an open structure, historic barn, you could use that for events. I just don't know if the weddings would
Would work out.
work there or not. So that'll be a park board decision later on.
Well, if you get in there, I bet you're not brave enough to climb up into the cupola.
I bet you're
Oh,
right.
don't-
So, yeah, so that's the concept. I think there's a lot of due diligence to do. They just happen to come online at the same time, so sometimes you gotta jump into the opportunities in front of you. Yeah, I look at that and I see a lot of work, but I think it's not, the reality is over time. We don't have to open the park tomorrow if we acquire it. We just need to sit on it and make minor improvements over the next couple of years and
I mean,
stabilize the buildings.
A project like this is one of the reasons that we established the park impact fee, because we can't just fund this, but then what's that account up to now? I'm
Yeah.
guessing it's.
Owning land is the number one step to anything you're gonna do. You
Right.
gotta be able to
And
purchase
I mean,
the
that
land.
was one of the few things that we chose when we originally set up the park impact fee was it paths and property?
That's all we could do, because that's
Yeah,
all we had.
that's all we had, right.
To your point, when we redo it, we can add stuff that we
Right.
currently have, so.
Well, maybe we
So do we
don't
know,
have to
so
pay
what is
for
it,
it.
what is that account at now? Do you have a ballpark?
We're heading towards $3 million
Okay.
in there.
Holy crap.
It's great.
Well, maybe we don't have to pay for it. If the folks that own it are in a high tax situation, all we have to do is get an appraisal high enough to justify giving them a receipt.
We'll
for a
definitely
donation
have
of
to
that
pay for
amount.
this one.
We're a 501c3, and in terms of what they can sell it for on the market and what they could get from us as far as a charitable donation receipt. It could be a lot of money.
We know the homestead will need, because the estate, the siblings want the money split. You might not be wrong. We'll meet with the Round Barn, and he's
southern
a
property?
different individual who might be more open to that, or even the gap in it where we sell it for a little bit and give them a
Well,
credit.
you got
towards the
multiple
other.
individuals, 2 or 3 of them might do part of it, their share.
Possibly.
Yeah.
So anyways,
I love
I
the
just
idea-
didn't
I
want to
love the
jump.
idea of it.
I started to move forward with appraisals, and I thought, you know what? This needs to go. It's good timing. We need to put it in front of the park board, because if they don't want this, because it is a significant investment for the long-term vision of McCordsville. It's a little ahead of our 5-year plan, but the opportunity is here now. So I wanted to make sure that park board liked the concept.
I mean, that property alongside of Mount Comfort Road's going as
Just
quick
the-
as can be, so
Just the land's probably worth $400K.
probably.
Yep. Let's not throw numbers out right now on camera. So yeah, we'll go ahead and if you guys are on board, and we get started on it.
I think it's nice that, like I said, one, the preserving the history, but also just what else we can bring to individuals or the community into McCordsville. So that will definitely be different. So.
I think to Megan's point, I think there is opportunities to create additional rental space for different events as well. So just a matter of what level of rental event.
There was a hotel at one time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Public
Thank you.
comment? We on to public comments now?
Before you go to public comment.
Sure, what you got?
It's not on there, but I did tell some of you guys that we did get some RFPs for our 5-year master plan
Yeah.
today. We will review those this week. Come up with our suggestion of who we think we should go with for it. We'll have to have and we don't have to decide that now. We'll have to set up a special meeting. So I would like to get that approved and to council before the next council meeting, where we don't meet, right? Because we only meet every 2 months.
Yeah, because we're not coming back till September.
I don't want to
but we
wait
can
till
have-
then to
yeah.
kind of approve it and go forward. So we'll have to set up a special meeting. I just don't know date and time on that, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. We will be reviewing those this week. I haven't even looked at them yet. I've received them. I threw them in a folder and looked at their quotes, and that was about it. And so we'll review those this Thursday and then kind of come with a suggestion to you guys, and then we can kind of go from there. But we'll have to probably establish a special meeting sometime between now and our next meeting.
So we just need a majority to show up, right? Like if everybody's not available, if we can have at least 3,
Yeah, we're 5-member board, so.
sounds good. Make it happen. Anything else, Dan?
Nope, that was it.
Public comments? No? No? So until we get the details for the special meeting, next meeting is September 8th, 2025, 6 o'clock, right here. Anybody have anything else to say? Everybody good?
Good.
Good? Good?